morning, everyone, and welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by BKCW Insurance. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined by Bobby Burton, who's right there in Lexington, Kentucky, at Kroger Field, and Jerry Hamilton, who is on the beach, man. Y'all got both of y'all got it made this morning.
Working, baby. I'm working. I was on the road in New Orleans the other day, and I'm on the move.
Yeah, that doesn't look like any football field I've seen before, Jerry Hamilton in the background.
We're running a combine out here later.
In the sand.
Hey, I'm over here at Kroger Field. Blake mentioned it, Commonwealth Stadium in Lexington. Got in last night. It is clear. It's a clear, kind of cool day here in Lexington. Temperature is expected to be the same tomorrow. Injury report, though, is what we need to get to first, Jerry and Blake. Texas ruling out Connor Stroh and Xavier Filsaime last night. Murad Watson remains questionable. CJ Baxter remains doubtful. Both Watson and Baxter could or could not see time. That is what that means. Now, Watson did miss time on Saturday against Oklahoma, but came back in the game. Hopefully he gets upgraded today. Meanwhile, Kentucky upgraded a couple of their players, Jaden Smith and Abe Selm, both moving to probable. Jerry, I wanted to ask you, with Stroh and Hudson now out for this game, what does that mean for the Longhorn offensive line depth?
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting to see. Is Nate Kibble if there's an injury, is Nate Kibble the first guard off the bench, no matter what, at left or right guard on Saturday? I we'll see what happens. Obviously, Daniel Cruz is the number 2 center going into Saturday as well. So the depth, what we're really looking for is left guard and right guard. Obviously, left guard being the main one. If for some reason Nick Brooks had to leave the game, would it be Nate Kibble that comes in at left guard? That's what'll be interesting to watch. I tend to believe it is, but we'll see if that actually pops up and is needed at all on Saturday. But the depth is a little tested as far as guys who have played meaningful reps, if that pops up in this game, because Nate Kibble has not had a lot of game reps that matter to this point. Neither has Daniel Cruz. So those guys are a play away Saturday. So we'll see which way that goes if that happens. Filsaime, Bobby, that'll be interesting at safety. Who fills his spot at safety on Saturday and on special teams? You assume it'll be Jonah Williams, but we'll wait and find out. Not saying he's going to play in the game necessarily, but on special teams.
Yeah, to your point, the reason you're making such a big issue about guard is, well, Cole Hudson could move to guard, and Connor Robertson could have played center if in a depth crisis. But now they're struck at 2 interior linemen, and Nato Omozolo has not played since, I guess, the Sam Houston State game, Jerry. And we'll see what that means. But the other thing I would add to this, Jaden Chapman came in, and he was the first tackle off the bench. Trevor Gooseby took a spill at one point during the Texas OU game. They came in with Jaden Chapman, moved him to right tackle, Jerry, and played Brandon Baker, flipped him over to left tackle. So we'll see how all that works. But my take on it, and I'm sure you're the same way, is that it's getting precariously thin on that offensive line with both interior guys out like that. We'll have to wait and see if anything happens this weekend. Knock on wood that it doesn't. But we got a game going here in about, 36 hours from now, right now.
Hey, and by the way, Connor Robertson's got a big job on Saturday, not just handling his first ever start on the road, but he's got a young left guard next to him. So communication's got to be really on point. Connor Robertson's got a big job on Saturday. I think he'll be fine with it, but him having to play a lot against Oklahoma a couple of years ago, I think will help him. But he's got a big job because that guy to his left has one career start, and Connor Robertson's making his first career start. So communication between those two is going to be a premium Saturday.
Yeah, and that is something that Cole Hudson had been handling, and he is between Trevor Gooseby. He was between Trevor Gooseby and Cole Hudson, who had some experience. Now it's Connor Robertson, who does not have any starting experience prior to this game. Hopefully Trevor Gooseby can help him out as well. I thought that Trevor Gooseby. I thought that Nick Brooks looked really good in game one as a
Oh,
starter
yeah.
for given his place in it. But we'll have to wait and see how it all goes here at Kroger Field. I'm trying to give y'all a full-on view of this stadium in the background. They do a lot of tailgating here. It's maybe not as extensive as some other SEC stadiums that I've seen. I will grant you that. Like, this is not Florida where there were tents for days. I'm just looking around, but it's, what, it'll be packed in here. But this is not this has not been a typical SEC venue. Feels a little bit more like how Vanderbilt tailgates as opposed to how a Florida tailgates and Alabama tailgates, those sorts of schools.
Well, I'll say this. I mean, there's a report that came out. There's a report that came out yesterday, and this will explain the tailgating in Kentucky in a different sport. There was a report that came out yesterday, Bobby. I'm not sure you saw it by Field of 68. Kentucky's basketball NIL is $22 million for 13 scholarship players this year. I think that's a little high. I texted 2 college coaches, basketball coaches, GMs. They think it's more 18 to 20. But 18 to 20 million NIL on 13 basketball players. One, you better go to a Final Four, win a national championship, Mark Pope. But that tells you where there is no doubt, and we talked about this with Daryl Bird yesterday, that allegiance is massive in basketball. And that's a huge number for basketball NIL, assuming it's 18 to 20.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. I want to talk more about NIL in general, if you don't mind, in a second. But first, I need to tell everyone thank you to our sponsor every Friday morning, Coffee and Football, brought to you by our friends over at BKCW Insurance. Did your business have a frustrating insurance or employee benefits renewal? Most likely you didn't hear from your agent all year, and then right before it was time for your business to renew, your agent delivered the bad news of a rate increase. When this happens, the agent is providing no value, and you're stuck in what we call the insurance trap. BKCW takes you out of the insurance trap by providing you and your business with actual risk management consulting, operating out of the headquarters in Austin and owned by a UT grad. BKCW uses a 5-step process to identify your business weak spots, design a plan, execute it, and monitor your situation throughout the year so that you can lower your insurance costs and effectively manage your company's risks. Go to bkcw.com or send an email to info@bkcw.com to get started with a free risk assessment or claims audit and escape the insurance trap. All right, I want to talk about the NIL situation. Jerry just mentioned with Kentucky basketball. Completely agree with you, Jerry. That seems like an absurd amount.
Yes.
I want to add this to it. All right, Curt Cignetti just signed an $11.6 million deal per year to coach the Indiana Hoosiers.
Wow.
Okay, $11.6 million a year yesterday. They preempted anybody like Florida or Penn State for them to come calling on Curt Cignetti. Okay, their entire football roster is 18 million or 17 million in a rev share type situation. Their entire athletic department, after Alston payments. If that's the case, that's why there's such a. I mean, you can't tell me that one coach is worth 70 players or 60%, 70% of your roster.
Yeah.
That's where this is all out of whack, and why anytime colleges bemoan the idea that they don't have the money, it's not right, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, and it's also it's leading to this, I think, real fan apathy we talk about that's created quickly nowadays because look, the pay is so much for coaches that their rope in people's eyes is shorter than ever. Like Cignetti, now that he's $11 million man, if he didn't make the playoffs the next 2 years, those fans are going to turn on him. And then you have the NIL with the players, then you have the portal, so it creates super duper expectations for instant gratification and immediate change at schools. And man, it's out of whack, yes, and it's creating, I think, situations where fan bases get apathetic towards a coach and a team much quicker than even they have been. And recent years when it was still instant gratification. But most of the times that instant gratification was a 3 or 4 year instant gratification. I'm not sure we're there anymore.
All right, guys. One thing that I wanted to bring up this morning that we've been doing throughout the week is looking at the weather and the line. The line hasn't changed, y'all. It's 12.5, 13.5, which is actually what it opened at. But the weather, the rain chances continue to dwindle. This is Saturday's precipitation forecast, Jerry and Bobby. And as y'all can see there, we're down to less than 20% or 20% or less, I guess I should say, throughout the afternoon and evening. So should work out well for Texas.
Yeah, I mean, the weather report's really good for the Horns here. Maybe wind similar to what a little bit what Florida was like. What that end up like 13 to 20 miles an hour, right? Gusting maybe a little higher. So does it affect the kicking game a little bit? We'll have to see. We'll have to see if it gets gusty in that stadium. That stadium's not as big or as enclosed as the Swamp is at University of Florida. So we'll have to see if it gets gusty. How does that affect kicking game, punting game, fielding punts, that sort of thing? But really good weather report right now. And that line is hanging, 13.5 right now, Blake?
Yeah, 12. Some of them have it 12.5. Some of them have it at 13.5. And like I said, it opened at 13.5, Jerry. So right where it opened.
Yeah, and so I don't expect that to change much. I think that's going to hang in that area. Not like I'm the gambling guy, but I do think, and that's a big number, by the way. That's a big number considering Kentucky seems to play, and this isn't as talented of a Kentucky team. We talked about this. They play people tight. They play people a little tighter than people think they do over the years. There's been some blowouts, but you put up a graphic earlier this week, Blake. I mean, every single year they're playing one or two teams who are ranked or much more talented than they are on paper within 7, 10, 13 points. So I expect this to be a fourth quarter game, honestly. We'll see what happens. But I think Kentucky, with a week off, they're a little healthier. I think they're going to bring the best they can at Texas and Arch Manning. And I think Texas, coming off the emotional high of Oklahoma, I don't expect to see anything close to the Texas team that showed up in the Swamp. Don't get me wrong. But it's hard to be human emotion at the same level it was for Oklahoma as it is for Kentucky. And that's why Kentucky plays people closer, I think, at home traditionally over the years, because it's just difficult because you're normally playing Kentucky before a big game or after a big game. And that's just not the team you get up for naturally in the SEC gauntlet, in the SEC schedule. Kentucky and Mississippi State, and it has been Vanderbilt in the past. That's changed this year and last year with Pavia. But those two teams create the human down emotion going into the game. So you really have to bring in, I think it helps create for Kentucky, use it to their advantage. And I think it's going to be a low possession game. That's the other thing with the line. I think this is going to be a low possession game, especially the way Sark played against Oklahoma and the way Kentucky's going to attack Texas. So I can see a low possession game, and the lower the possession game, the harder it is to pull away unless Kentucky makes mistakes. The one thing I will say about this is the Kentucky quarterback. I went back and watched as much of the South Carolina game, not really Georgia, South Carolina as I could. That was a road game, but South Carolina got after Kentucky in the pass game, and that ball was thrown up for grabs multiple times. And the reason I watched that game is I think Colin Simmons can have a Dylan Stewart type impact against Kentucky's offensive tackles. If that's the case, that's where that game could get away from Kentucky a little bit, is if it's forced down in distances, because I do think the Texas pass rush will have an effect like South Carolina did, and the ball will be up for grabs. And Darrell Bird actually said that yesterday as well.
Well, guys, Bobby, welcome back, by the way. But we're going to have Coach Brian Erwin join us here in just a moment. But first, Bobby, I'm going to let you tell everyone about a couple of our sponsors this morning.
Yeah, let's start with our friends over at SeatGeek. Any Texas fans going to see the Longhorns this weekend, take on the Wildcats here in Lexington, and don't have tickets at the last minute, give SeatGeek a try if you're still looking for tickets. With more than 35 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. College football is back. NFL's here as well. SeatGeek has your back. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10, so you know you're getting a good deal. So look for the green dots. Green means good, red means bad. Plus, every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. Of course, we've got a deal for OTF fans. Use code OTF10 for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with promo code OTF10. See site for more details. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Thank you from our friends over at SeatGeek. Also, if you are going to F1 this weekend in Austin, you're going to want to try to get there via Von Lane so you don't have to worry about it. You can just take a seat and relax. When you need to travel between major cities in Texas, you're stuck you traditionally have been stuck with two flawed options: drive and fight traffic, or fly and roll the dice with airport delays, security lines, packed terminals, etc. Or there's a third way now, Von Lane. You arrive at a high-end hotel terminal, no airport chaos, no parking nightmares, and most importantly, for those of us that want this in our life, no stress. Just a few easy steps and you're boarding in minutes. Now is the perfect time to plan ahead. Booking is open through the end of the year, so you can lock in travel for fall football, business trips, F1 this weekend still in Austin, Dallas, Fort Worth, and a getaway to Houston or San Antonio. Von Lane proudly serves Austin, Dallas, Houston, Fort Worth, San Antonio. Now they go to Memphis, Nashville, Knoxville, and Atlanta, as well as Plano and the Woodlands. Visit vonlane.com and use promo code OTF25 to save $20 on your first ride. Von Lane, elevated regional bus transportation. And I'm adding this: no stress, no stress.
All right, well, let's bring Coach in. Coach Brian Erwin. Brian, how we doing this morning?
Good morning, fellas. How we doing? Hook 'em.
Hey, look here, Brian. You get the full deal.
That's awesome.
Whose background do you? Let's see if you're really a football coach. Whose background do you like better, mine or Jerry Hamilton's?
Jerry. I was in the background for a little bit, and I'm envious. I'm like, heck, screw where Bobby's at. Let's go where Jerry's at.
Jerry, you're muted.
Jerry, can you eat it?
I muted. There's good football about 8 miles north of where I'm at right here. So 8 miles north.
Hey, Brian, question for you. Game coming up. We were talking earlier that there's some a change at center because Cole Hudson's out with injury. Connor Stroh is out with an injury as well. So that's some of your depth at offensive guard, even when you're playing a young guy like Nick Brooks. What does losing a center, though, mean to the offense in a game like this, or in any game, a guy that started every game this season so far?
Yeah, I think it means a lot. You know, it's kind of like baseball. You want to be strong up the middle. That's the way we always built our team every single year. When we drafted our guys as freshmen and brought them in either on the offensive side or defensive side, we always drafted up the middle first. You know, quarterback, center, and then on defense, the inside linebacker and safeties. So, you know, it's all about being strong up the middle, just like baseball with the catcher, the pitcher, the shortstop, second baseman, center fielder. So the center to me is like the catcher. He's the central hub of everything. He's involved in setting protections. He's involved in the exchange, both under center and in the gun. Run game fits because he works with both guards on both sides, and then obviously in pass protection. So he's a central cog. So we've got our work cut out for us, and sure hope Connor Robertson's up for the task.
Brian, what about the depth there? You lose Connor Stroh, and now you're starting a true freshman at left guard. Got to remember, DJ Campbell was banged up a little bit in the OU game as well. Is that bothersome, or is that just next man up mentality, in your opinion, at the other offensive line spots?
I think it's more next man up mentality. Nick Brooks, I'm not worried about his physicality. He showed last week he can be physical, and he has the physical tools to get it done. Now, you know, with him, it's just like the rest of the team. You know, the physicality has to be there every single week, and we've got to bring it. We've got to bring that SEC style of football every single week. Combine the talent, combine the tradition, combine the culture. But the physicality and that mindset has to be there. We've got to be consistent.
Hey, Coach, take me back to your time. Obviously, I don't know who, after Texas, Oklahoma, traditionally when SEC teams have gone to Kentucky, that's not the game they get up for emotionally, right? It's almost impossible to, because for a Georgia or Texas, they're normally coming off playing a really good team or they have the look-ahead game. So back in your days, I don't know if that was Santa Fe or Galena Park or whoever, right, in your district, how did you have to work to, and I know it's a different situation. This Texas team should learn from the Florida game, but is there anything you do to try to get the team up when human emotion doesn't allow for kids to be up week to week, especially against teams that aren't traditionally winners?
Yeah, you've got to be creative sometimes. You've got to tell them falsehoods sometimes. You've got to create some chaos. You've got to create a storyline. You've got to create some motivation. And, I think at the end of the day, it's, again, going back to you challenge the guys with consistency. That's what it takes to be a champion. And we've got to be consistent. 1 week at Florida, we looked like we looked and we looked soft. Then last week we looked like a champion and we looked physical and we looked strong. Who are we? And we've got to be consistent, because that's the whole key, is being consistent. That's the key to greatness. And we always define greatness as, it's deliver your best when your best is needed. That's what greatness is. Deliver your best when your best is needed. So if we're going to be consistently great, then deliver your best when your best is needed consistently, week in and week out. But yeah, you've got to be creative, create that greatness, create that consistency, tell them a lie, create something. Oh, the other thing I would say, Jerry, because that's a great question, because it's multifaceted, is, man, you coach them hard this week. Like, you find every single flaw, every chink in the armor, and you just coach them hard. You're berating them in practice. You're loud in practice. You're intense in practice. That's the way I coached in practice. I was pretty calm during the game, but during the week, and so you got to really just coach them hard. And we're on a high right now. You got to beat the guys down a little bit, and when you're down, you pick them up. But right now we're on a high. So, I think Sark and the coaches are probably just beating them down a little bit and making sure they're not smelling themselves.
Hey, Brian, you mentioned the expectations and what they did against Florida versus what they did against Oklahoma. What did you see from Oklahoma that you think Arch and this offense will carry forward? Like, we can all hope they play as well as they did, right, against a stout defense. But were there signs of things that you think they can keep doing really well and even improve on? Like, what were the things you would hang your hat on right now a little bit in that regard?
I think Sark and the offensive staff and all of us on this show and all the Texas fans nationwide, worldwide, want to see a repeat performance in the run game. We want to build on the running game and keep establishing the offensive line play, the hard running by Trey, maybe get a little help out of another back or two. We know our depth is depleted a little bit in the backfield, so we need another back to step up and match Trey Wisner's intensity. So establish the run game and build off of that momentum that we created last week. And then secondly, stay with Arch and the timing he had last week, getting the ball out of his hands on time, getting it throw, moderate range, not always looking for the deep ball where he's got to stand back there another, 3 to 5/10 of a second. Let's get the ball out of his hands. Let's throw it on time. Let's check it down to a back. Let's check it down to a tight end. Let's throw some over the middle type routes that are moderate range. So want to see more of that timing aspect to our passing game. And then no doubt, I still love seeing Arch off schedule. I love watching him off schedule. He's really good.
Jerry, you're muted again, buddy.
Muted again.
Sorry, I'm trying to keep the noise.
Is there a party going on there? You're trying not to let us hear?
There's some stuff going on. From a game which a team's going to attack you with lower possessions, Kentucky's going to try to play a lower possession game against you. Is there a difference in how you coach and approach that game from a mental standpoint as a staff? Because it's obvious. And by the way, Texas played a little lower possession game against Oklahoma too last week. So how is that game different for you from a coaching perspective?
It's nerve-wracking. It's, you're going to get less possessions. You got the better football team, and you're going to get fewer possessions. And if something goes awry on this series or that series, then you're in a dogfight at the end. And I faced that, a few times in my coaching career. We knew we were going to be getting fewer possessions. And, if you stub your toe with a holding call or a turnover, then it's really going to cost you as the game progresses. So I think it creates some anxiety on the part of the coaches. It did me. It created some anxiety on me. So it's all about making sure your guys are prepared to go execute, score points when you can get them, whether it's 7, whether it's 3, and then win the field position battle. If they want to be a time of possession type of team, let's make sure they're getting it on the 15-yard line and not the 35, 40-yard line.
Makes sense. Brian, we've asked you each and every week your score prediction. I want to do that now. What do you think of this Longhorn football team coming up to Kentucky? And give us your kind of prognosis for this game.
I think because of the possession aspect of it and their ability and desire to run the ball, control the clock the way they like to play ball, which I respect. I think Stoops has done a really good job over the years. I don't think they're quite as good this year. In the last couple of years, they've been more of a threat. But we've got to show up. It's SEC road game at night, and we've got to show up big time, be consistent, bring the intensity. I'm going to say Texas 28, and let's go Kentucky 13.
Does that mean you think Texas is getting better in the red zone, by the way, if you're going 4 touchdowns instead of some field goals? Did you sense that a little bit?
I sense it because, we did not do it last week in that first red zone set. I'm screaming bloody murder, run arch, run arch, run arch. I'm a huge proponent of running the quarterback inside the 5, inside the 10-yard line. Go get your points. That's your extra hat. He's a tremendous runner. We didn't run him down there, and we got stopped, had to kick the field goal in the first half. But then late in the game, we sealed the game with Arch's legs, with some quarterback run play. And so I think Arch's elite capability to run the ball and run it tough and his size, I think our red zone production should lend itself to scoring touchdowns.
Interesting. Good stuff. Brian, thank you so much. We'll see you again on Monday for lunch with the coach. Hope you enjoy the game. I can't believe you don't like this view over Jerry's view, though. I mean, you're a football coach. That's
I figured out,
baby.
I figured out last week exactly who Jerry reminds me of.
Uh-oh.
This is good. This is good. And that backdrop right there, it's even more fitting. Phil Mickelson.
I get that a lot.
I'm like, that's lefty right there. That's
if this is your view, that there's 8 golf courses within 4 miles of here.
Exactly. I know that. Yeah.
All right. Hey, Brian, thank you so much, bud. You have a good one. Hook 'em horns.
Thanks, guys. Hook 'em.
See ya.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, real quick, for those of you guys that are in Lexington, I just want to mention this real briefly. We are having hosting a happy hour tonight in Lexington from 4 to 7. It's free, no cover. Just come out. We got the spot for about 100 folks. I think 50 or so people have already RSVP'd. So just come on out, have some fun. It's at Blue Stallion Brewing. It's near downtown Lexington in the Distillery District, I believe. Again, you just look it up on Waze or Uber or whatever you're going to do. There's plenty of parking, supposedly. But Blue Stallion Brewing from 4 to 7. We're going to just hang out, have some fun. And that is 4 to 7 Eastern, by the way, since I'm sitting in Eastern time right now.
Hey, I wanted to bring this comment up real quick from Hayward Howard.
Yes.
He says, Hayward Howard Jr. dad checking in. Hook 'em. Can't wait to be a part of this family. I just want Longhorn Nation to know a dog is coming.
Had a great time in the car. Thank you, Mr. Howard. Big man, defensive lineman at Ole Miss back in the day. But Hayward Howard Jr., that interview is up on ontexasfootball.com. I did with him and Ed in the car before practice on Wednesday. If you haven't seen that, super intelligent kid. The question for Pops is, how tall is your kid going to get, man? He's grown like 3 inches in a year and a half. Is he headed to 6'4"? Is he headed to 6'5"? Is he going to be 6'6"? I mean, where he stops, we don't know because he doesn't turn 18 until next July. So he is a young senior. He will be 17 when he enrolls in Austin in January. But really good kid. What was so interesting about the interview, and I don't know if this came across on, I can't remember what Hayward Jr. said during the interview, but he plays corner. I think he's playing corner this week. But against Jesuit because of a matchup. But he went through his coaching staff. Bryce Brown's done a great job there. I think he's won 6 state titles in 12 years at Edna Carr. Really talented, 14 D1 players there right now that have committed. But Hayward Howard Jr. went to the staff and said, hey, I think I need to play free safety to help our team win. And he has played as much or more free safety than he has corner this year. So really cerebral guy, a guy that's studying his team, studying the game, and is willing to do whatever it takes to make his team the best they can be and win. Those are the guys you want in a football program. And the question for me is, how big is he going to get? He may end up being a safety. He may end up being 6'5", 6'4", 6'5", 210 pounds one day. I mean, he's about 6'3", 183 right now. But when you see that frame in person, you know he's not even close to filling out.
All right, Jerry. Well, we're talking recruiting already, so we might as well just keep on with the recruiting talk.
Yeah, so we wanted to bring up Samari Matthews, senior tape. He's the other corner committed in this class. And again, Hayward Howard can play corner or safety. But Samari Matthews recently put out some early senior season highlight tape. He was on campus a couple weekends ago. Actually, he was in Dallas for the Red River game. He'll be back in November. He's at Huff High, north of Charlotte and Cornelius there. For those that don't know where that is, it's right near Davidson where the Currys played. Seth Curry played college basketball. But Samari Matthews, a technical guy, physical guy. There's some similarities, and I'm not sure he's as far technically, but there's some similarities in frame in the way he plays to Manny Muhammad. I think they're similar in a lot of ways, athletically, frame-wise, physically playing the run. I think Manny's a physical corner, whether that's in coverage or against the run. Samari Matthews was a big win for Texas over South Carolina, Clemson, and Miami. He actually ended up dumping Clemson for Miami. But it'll be interesting because Texas has 3 defensive backs committed. Yaheem Riley as a nickel safety is another. And Texas is making some senior evaluations for a possible 4th. They have not offered anybody yet. We'll see. But Hayward Howard Jr. could be a corner, could be a safety. We'll see where that frame goes. Samari Matthews locked in at corner. Yaheem Riley probably going to start his career at nickel for Texas. So we'll see. Do they offer a new 2026 DB to make it a 4-man class, or do they not? I think that Mark Orfe has been out evaluating some seniors, as I'm sure the Dwayne Akina has on tape as well. But they have yet to offer any of those guys. So we'll see what they do if they take a 4th DB in this class, Bobby, 4th high school DB.
I think Bobby froze up on us there,
yeah.
Jerry.
Good view, bad connection.
Yes. So we'll come back to that here in just a moment once he gets his connection going. All right. Let's see. We got some super chats, Jerry.
Let's do it.
We'll jump over to those. DJ Alexander says, if Kiffin goes to Florida, I think Ole Miss should hire Dan Mullen.
That'll be interesting. Dan Mullen obviously is doing really good. Doing a really good job at UNLV, right? I don't know personality-wise where he fits for some ADs. We'll have to see on that. I mean, I'm watching Coach Sumrall at Tulane, right, for a job like Ole Miss, and I'm not saying he's going to get it. I'm looking at some guys like that could move up that have been, Silverleaf, Silverfield at Memphis, has done really good things at Memphis. Could he make a short move over to Ole Miss? Is there a connection there with the AD? That'll be interesting to see, because the Florida job will be interesting, period. I do think the Bull Gators is what they're called, the big money guys. They want Kiffin because they see him as their modern day Spurrier, right? They said the personality, the play caller, the offensive football. They see that, and I totally get that. I do think they kicked the tires on Eli Drinkwitz and Marcus Freeman. I think Marcus Freeman's kind of behind the scenes at the top of the AD's lists. Penn State and Florida. We'll see what happens there. The other one with Eli Drinkwitz is Auburn. I asked somebody about Drinkwitz in Florida, and they mentioned Drinkwitz may want the Auburn job, which is interesting if Auburn opens. So, not saying he would take Auburn over Florida, but maybe he knows behind the scenes that Kiffin will, be the guy at Florida over him in that scenario if it comes down to those two. But if Auburn opens, watch Drinkwitz there. And then who would get Missouri? So this coaching carousel, once Florida opens, you're going to have two really big programs open, and that's going to set it off. And then the trickle down from that. But what'll be interesting for me is like the Virginia Techs of the world. I don't think they can afford to get caught up in the coaching carousel where they get pushed down and have to wait. I think schools like that, if they find their guy, they need to make their move right after the season's over, and don't get caught in the wash of this, because with the portal and with signing day being December 4th, you have to act really quickly. And I think that's why you're seeing these colleges open up these jobs so they can be absolutely ready to make their hires because of the changing landscape with the portal dates and high school football kids signing. Because the reality is up to 75% of these kids are early enrollees now out of high school. So there's literally no time. You have to be ready to make your hire. You have to be confident in your hire, and you have to make your move.
Jerry, I was just looking. 7 FBS head coaches have been fired so far this season. That's quite a bit for where we are in the season.
Yeah, by October 15th. That's a wild number. And if the reports, like I'd mentioned earlier in the week that Lane Kiffin, that Billy Napier could be done win or lose against Mississippi State because they don't want to give him the chance to upset Georgia. If you're going to make the move, make the move. If you upset Georgia, then the thing turns. You get the 7-5, 8-5. We beat Georgia, then it's tougher. So I think you're just going to start to see more and more of this. If you're going to make a move, you make the move early. You get on with your process. You're already vetting guys anyways. What's really the wait at this point? I mean, Florida's already vetting guys. They've been vetting guys. I mean, there's no doubt that process has been ongoing after the South Florida, LSU, Miami trio. There's no doubt the vetting was already taking place. I mean, all of us would be naive to think that's not the case. So may as well get on with it and get your guy in place, even if you have to wait on him, even if it ends up being a Lane Kiffin and maybe he's in the playoff, maybe he's not. But you're in a position to get that thing done immediately.
Yeah, and of those 7, 5 of them are Power 4 schools. So it's crazy.
Well, and I mean, look, Oklahoma State, what is their program? How is it seen right now? UCLA, financial support-wise, how's that seen by coaching candidates? Somebody's going to take the job. It's $5 million a year. Arkansas, when the AD comes out and says, well, we're not really where we need to be to compete in the SEC. I mean, if I was raising my hand before, I'm starting to lower it and say, maybe you get paid $30 million and that's great. And it changes your life and your kid's life and your grandkids' life. But it's still, those are still, it's hard to, I think, for some of these coaches to make that decision, pull the trigger, whatever you want to say, on a job such as that. Yes, the pay is great. Yes, you're taking the Arkansas job knowing you're probably going to be fired. Yeah. That's the reality. So are you okay with that? What's that price worth to you? Because when's the last coach that retired on his own at Arkansas? I think we all know the answer to that. So that's those jobs you're taking knowing that there's a 95% chance you're going to get fired. Yeah. And that doesn't mean you're not confident in your abilities. It's just reality.
So I was looking to see if they had odds on next head coach to be fired. They currently don't. You're going to like this one. So for the coaching futures, they have, where will James Franklin coach next year? That's one of the questions. But then they have four Bill Belichick ones. 4 different things you can gamble on when it comes to Belichick, including total regular season wins. When will they win their first ACC game? Will Belichick be coaching in 2026? And will Belichick be head coach for their last game this season?
I'm pulling up their schedule right now, and let's see what this looks like. At Cal this weekend, probably not. The freshman quarterback there's a really good player, even though he doesn't have a lot of rounds.
That's their worst odds.
Virginia at home, at Syracuse. Stanford at home, probably their best odds.
Actually, Stanford has the second worst odds. North Carolina State and then Duke is plus 1,400. North Carolina State's plus 1,600. Does not win a game is plus 800. Stanford is plus 300. So Stanford and Virginia and Syracuse and California in that 200 to 300 range.
Hey, here's the question for the chat. If Bill Belichick loses to Stanford, Wake Forest, Duke, and NC State, is he back for year 2? If he loses those 4 games to end the season, does he return for year 2?
Will Belichick be coaching UNC in 2026? No is minus 500. So the overwhelming favorite right there. Yes is plus 300. And then will he be head coach for last game? They do think he based on the odds, they think that he will at least finish out the year.
Yeah.
Not next year.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. If he loses those 4 games in the season, I'd be shocked.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Trying to see. We have a super chat from Bobby's Mayo Spreader. We'll talk a little Texas now. What are Trey Wisener's NFL prospects?
He's a really interesting prospect for me in terms of NFL because he doesn't necessarily fit the cookie cutter mold physically, or for the smaller back, when I say smaller, his size, the explosivity, right? In terms of just sheer combine number, speed, quickness, and that sort of thing. So he's interesting. He's just instinctive. He's super tough. He's a gamer. I know Mel Kiper has him as a 3rd or 4th rounder right now. Look, he needs to stay healthy and put it on the board again the rest of the year. I do right around, what does he have, 185 yards? Was he missed 3 games? Yeah. He needs to have a strong close to this season. On paper, it was supposed to be a really good NFL draft this year. On paper. Last year, not as much. This year was supposed to be a really good NFL draft for running backs. Last year was too. It was 2 years ago. It was bad. This year with Katron Allen, Nick Singleton, some of those guys coming back, it was supposed to be a pretty strong running back draft class. We'll see actually if that's going to transpire or not. I think some of those guys have not had great seasons, the seasons expected. Not as good as the draft last year at running back throughout this season. So at 3rd, 4th round, if he can get to there, he needs to go as a running back. I know some people might disagree with me on that one, but, look, he's been banged up this year. He had a 1,000-yard season last year. If he puts it together and stays healthy enough the rest of the year to put up 700, 800 yards potentially, counting postseason for Texas, I think it's a tough thing to come back. These running backs have short shelf lives. He's going to take hits. So do you risk that another year in college? I probably would not if I were him. And I think he would have earned that opportunity if he puts up, let's just say, 1,700 yards rushing over 2 seasons in the SEC. I think he's done a lot for the University of Texas. He's done a lot for himself, and he has definitely put himself in position to make that pro decision and go live out his dream.
So I know when I say this name, the chat's going to get riled up, but Mel Kiper put out a big board this week, actually. He actually is going to have Trey Wisener as the 7th best running back coming into this draft. And then despite the injuries, Jerry, he has CJ Baxter at number 9.
Yeah. I mean, that's crazy talk. Because he's coming off the major knee, and obviously he probably had put that together before Baxter's injury, right? So he was seeing what Cedric Baxter looked like early, thinking, okay, if he has a healthy season, what could that look like for CJ Baxter? But I think anything with Baxter right now is NFL draft is crazy talk. And now I'll say this: if he can come back and he's just it looks good the last few games coming off the major knee, he may just opt to go pro. Like, I'm not saying I'm in Cedric Baxter's head on this, but when you've had a major knee injury like that, if you can come back enough and show this last part of the season, assuming he gets back at some point, then it may just be in his best interest to give it a run.
Yeah,
because he has fought the injury bug, and a lot of it's just, obviously, some of it's just bad luck. That guy's had some bad luck injuries. I mean, that knee injury was a bad luck practice injury, is what that was. But it was a devastating injury in itself. People talked about his high school injuries, but like his senior year, I was there a couple of times to see him, and they were pretty much holding him out because they were going to win games big. So they didn't want to just go press it and take a risk on him getting hurt worse in games they were going to win 30-0, 34-3, 41-7. So he missed 5-6 games, but if those had all been meaningful games, he probably would have missed 2. But that knee injury was a really, really bad luck injury for him. And he's had some of the nagging injuries, but it all leads you down the path of, if you can just come back and be a productive part of the end of this season, it may be in your best interest, but we'll see what he does.
Yeah. All right, Jerry, I tell you what, I'm going to let you tell everyone this morning about a couple of our sponsors, and we'll start with Hays City Store.
One of my absolute favorites. There are very few restaurants that once you go to, you immediately know they are just special. Hays City Store is one of those places. It's scratch-made Texas comfort food. They've got their famous truck stop enchiladas, award-winning chicken fried steak, and homemade desserts. All of it is absolutely delicious, and all of it is from scratch. There's also live music 6 nights a week with 50 beer taps, ice-cold long necks, and tasty margaritas. There are 13 TVs alone in their ice outs, and it's perfect for game days. Texas fans, is to be a great place to go watch the game Saturday night, have some live music, watch Texas beat up on Kentucky, and they have brunch on Sundays from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. That's every Sunday as well. Hays City Store is dog friendly, and they have a tree net for kids. The only dogs they don't allow is Georgia Bulldogs. So those people, they can go eat at Outback Steakhouse or something. Hays City Store is dog friendly, and they have a tree net for kids. As I said, join the folks out at Hays City Store and bring the whole crew. For more information, check out the website at HaysCityStoreTX.com. Hays City Store, it's uniquely Texas.
And then, if you don't mind, tell us about Ridge Wallet as well.
Man, Ridge is more than a company with a hell of a wallet. They now have the best power bank on the market. Think about how annoying it is that all your devices have different charging cords. Your phone, your headphones, your watch, your Kindle, they're all different. Honestly, it should be illegal. How's it that we have AI robots? We still have to travel with 5 cords tangled up in our bag just to keep our devices alive. Boy, that's me. Well, those days are over, and my days are going to change because I'm getting this Ridge power bank. Thanks to Ridge, just like Ridge revolutionized the wallet, Ridge has now changed the game for portable charging. Ridge's 5-in-1 travel power bank has built-in cables and lets you charge all your devices at the same time with just one power bank and no extra cables. That would be really good to take on the road to Lexington, Starkville, or Athens, or anywhere else you're going to go. MagSafe wireless charging, Apple Watch charger, USB-C, every way you need to charge, all in one premium device. No more juggling adapters and wall outlets at the airport just to get up to 20% before you get on the plane. It has MagSafe compatible wireless charging, so you can keep it magnetically attached to the back of your iPhone too if you want some permanent extra juice. It's one thing to pack, 5 ways to power. You can find Ridge's power bank at Best Buy, or our listeners can get 10% off at ridge.com by using code ONTEXAS, all caps, at checkout. Just head to ridge.com and use code ONTEXAS, and you're all set. After your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. On Texas football from the beach. That's where you heard about them.
Great product. USB-C, Lightning. I use mine all the time. That's good stuff. And I'm going to tell everyone about Prize Picks as well, because we make decisions daily. But on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. And with football now here, it's time for you to make that money. Prize Picks is simple to play. You're just going to pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get those picks right, you can cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money. It's the best way to get in on sports action in more than 40 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and of course right here in the great Lone Star State. And this week, I have Arch Manning with at least a rushing or receiving touchdown. You never know. It might be a trick play. And LSU kicker Damian Ramos with more than 6 kicking points. So only taking 2 for that one. Come join me on those picks or make your own in less than 60 seconds. Turn your sports opinions into real money. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code ONTexas when you sign up. They'll give you $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code ONTexas to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. And that's Prize Picks. It's good to be right.
By the way, Joe Z giving you a hard time in the chat. Hey, Joe Z's Oregon Ducks got Indiana's coach a $95 million contract. So
yeah, he has no room to talk.
So Kirk Signetti, thanks you for being a fan of the Ducks. You've really helped them out there.
Jerry, we've had a lot of obviously the news came out earlier this week about Michael Terry. We've had a lot of questions about that. We just had a super chat come in, so we'll just go over to that one from Corey J. Chances we'll see Michael Terry play Saturday.
I look at first week working at it, running back. That's more depth than, hey, you're going to come in and be the guy, right, or play. I think we're at Trey Wisner's 1. James Simon is probably 2A. Christian Clark is 2B. Those are going to be your 3 guys. Am I saying you can't see him? Look, you could use him as a pass catcher out of the backfield, right? You could use him in some ways, but do I expect him to take handoffs on Saturday? I'd be surprised in that. I think James Simon and Christian Clark are pretty established as the backups to Trey Wisner. Obviously, we'll see on CJ Baxter Saturday. That's doubtful. But we'll see on that. But I think you're going to see more James Simon moving forward with Texas. We're getting to that point. And I think he was already starting to kind of head that direction.
And we'll stay on the running backs for a second. Parth Brooks says, best of luck to Jarek. I like the idea of Michael Terry as a big back. Adds a new element. Of course, you just answered that. But how soon do we see him getting some action carries this week? So sorry, Parther. I would have asked yours at the same time as that other one. But lots of people interested, Jerry, and Michael Terry.
Yeah, I think he played mostly running back as a senior, right? And I actually am not – I don't like this. I know it's out of necessity for Michael Terry because I think he needs to develop at one position, right? I mean, I like that he was working and developing as a wide receiver this year on a daily basis in practice. I think that was really going to help him in the future. I think this, in a weird way, it's out of necessity, right? He's doing what he needs to for the team, but it kind of sets him back a little bit for me. And does it make him more versatile? Yeah, but look, he'd played all over the place, so he's never really concentrated on one position, learning, diving into, living one position. And he was doing that at wide receiver this year. So that's my thing. It may set his development back a little bit because I do think wide receiver is more likely where he plays for his career at Texas. So we'll see on that. But again, I think James Simon is a really good player. I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. At the end of the day, I think he's really good. I think he's got great instincts. I love the way he runs the football. And I think the more touches he gets, the better he's going to get at running back.
And we'll stay on running back for just a second. Jerry John W. Curious about Ricky Stewart. Have you heard any news around him?
Just not around much. Yeah. I haven't heard anything real positive there. But we'll see.
And then we'll go OL for a second from Mike Gosnell. How many offensive linemen will Texas try to take in the 26 class? Do you think maybe they circle back to Crimpin or Roseboro?
I think if Crimpin picked up the phone and called them, they would take the call. But A&M's winning football games. And A&M went pretty big on Roseboro from an NIL perspective. Look, I think Malachi Lee, Texas is still talking to Malachi Lee. They're trying to get him back on campus in November. We'll see if anything shakes out with that. Those discussions are more than once weekly with the Texas staff, Kyle Flood and staff members with Malachi Lee and his circle. Then there's Micah Smith at Vero, and I had a little update there. Texas and Micah Smith and his family are still ironing out official visit details. I think Texas wants it to be the Arkansas weekend, November 22nd. The key around that is Vero Beach is 7-0. They're expected to make a run in the playoffs. What does that look like? They get their quarterback back, Champ Mons, a 2028, probably best quarterback in the country. By the way, a couple of college coaches think the sophomore quarterback at Vero Beach is the best quarterback in the country, regardless of class. Like, they think he's the best prospect, period. Seniors, juniors, sophomores, freshmen, all of them. They think this guy is the guy. Those are big-time colleges. I'm not going to tell you who, but they're big-time colleges. That came from somebody that would absolutely know. So they get their quarterback back. So Vero could make a run. But Texas, I think those are your two guys right now. I think Texas wants a tackle. That's the main thing. Texas view Crimpin as more of an interior guy, as a center guard. Right, and Roseburg was a guard / right tackle / guard. But A&M went pretty big on that NIL, and I'm not sure if Texas was willing to go there in June, if they're willing to go there in October.
And let's see, just the dude here says, with how the season kicked off, do you see the shift to how they take high school and portal kids, like no more 2 high school running backs in a class?
I don't think that you can be definitive on that. I think it's all the situation, right? I mean, a lot of that can depend on how many guys somebody thinks they're going to lose pro after a season, right? Or what does that look like? Then you have to make decisions on, okay, you're going to bring some of these guys back from an NIL perspective where you say maybe it's time to go pro, right? So trying to balance the budget, trying to balance the position. But I think you're more than likely I think you'll see 1 or 2 running backs in 27. I'm not sure there's been a decision made there yet. I think it depends on how things shake out after the season and what that kind of looks like. But I think if Derek Cooper is the one high school back in this class, I could see them going to the portal for a role player. And the dreams about the Jaden Balls of the world and stuff, I don't think are going to happen, and they're not realistic. So can you find a role player? And a lot of that will depend on what Trey Weisner does after the season.
And then Jonah Williams, enthusiast, we thank you for your super chat. I'm going to read this one. It says, Jerry, Caden Dixon Wyatt versus DeAndre Moore coming out of high school.
DeAndre Moore had better track times. I think I've always been a guy that thinks DeAndre Moore is really good. I think he's going to be a really good pro. And that, I think it was Todd McShay that had him as a first-round mock before the season, and obviously he's battled a little injury. I think DeAndre Moore is going to test faster than people think. I think he's such a great human as far as team leadership and doing all the right things. The natural receiver version of Jordan Whittington, so to speak, was Jordan Whittington kind of played all over the place and had to develop. But there's a lot of similarities there. But I think DeAndre Moore is really talented. And again, DeAndre Moore, for those that don't remember his recruitment, yes, he was committed to Louisville. That recruitment actually came down to Texas and Georgia wanted him. I talked to somebody on the Georgia staff that I'd known for a while. They wanted DeAndre Moore. That was a Texas win over Georgia for DeAndre Moore. So I know Caden Dixon Wyatt's going to Ohio State. And look, Chris Jackson, same guy that loved DeAndre Moore, same guy that loved Caden Dixon Wyatt. And there are similarities there as route runners. They're going to be better wide receivers than they're going to be testers, maybe to a certain extent. But I think DeAndre Moore is really, really good.
And one other super chat, this one from Juan Garza. He says, Jerry, how would Kirk Cignetti be at Texas? Just hypothetical. Do you think he would be a good fit here?
Not more so than some others. I for whatever reason, and I may be right, I may be wrong, I think Marcus Freeman is my guy for the next 10, 12 years in college football if I have an opening. I just think he's and I know everybody's like, well, it's Notre Dame, but yeah, he got them to a national championship, and that doesn't mean you don't have struggles. You're a first-year coach. Imagine the pressure that guy walked into at Notre Dame. Never been a head coach before. I think he is a lights-out relationship developer with young kids, with 17 to 20-year-olds. I think he's lights out. as a developer of relationships and a communicator with kids. He's my guy as far as the if jobs open. Doesn't mean I'm right, but Cignetti, look, tremendous football coach, right? I mean, coach under Nick Saban at Bama for a while. I think he has done a great job evaluating quarterbacks in the portal, which is a big thing. I mean, Fernando Mendoza was a great evaluation by him when you look around at what some other teams have in the portal, and they could have potentially made that run at Mendoza. But I think he's a tremendous football coach. From my perspective in the NIL era we're in and where college sports is headed, I think Marcus Freeman is a guy in this business.
Seems like just a good guy with a great personality too.
Yeah, and he's proven he can coach. And the big thing for him is he's proven he knows who to hire as a young coach. It's not ego with him, and he's gone out and made the hires he needs to make. And doesn't mean you hit on all of them. Nobody does. But I like Marcus Freeman the next 10, 12 years in college football.
Jerry, before we move on, I'm going to tell everyone this morning about our sponsor, BKCW, one last time. BKCW takes you out of the insurance trap by providing you with actual risk management consulting, not just price quoting. They operate out of their headquarters in Austin, and they're owned by a UT graduate. BKCW uses a 5-step process to identify your business's weak spots, design a plan, execute it, and monitor your situation throughout the year so you can lower your insurance costs and effectively manage your company's risk. They've already helped some of the most well-known construction companies, restaurant groups, breweries, and nonprofits in Central Texas escape the insurance trap. And it all starts with that risk assessment. Go to bkcw.com or send an email to info@bkcw.com to get started with their free risk assessment or claims audit and escape the insurance trap. Well, let's take a look at the SEC schedule one last time before we call it a day today. Some good games on tap, Jerry. Lots of ranked matchups this weekend in the SEC. What do you got your eye on?
Yeah, so chat, this is for y'all, chat. I wanted to bring this back up. Who do you see losing? There's 7 ranked teams on the road. And yes, Tennessee's playing at 6 Bama, 5 Ole Miss playing at 9 Georgia, and 10 Vanderbilt, or 10 LSU playing at 17 Vanderbilt for those listening on podcast. But 7 ranked teams on the road. Ryan Nelson thinks Le'Veon Moss injury hurts A&M and Arkansas. I agree with that. He has a hamstring, I believe it was. By the way, Bobby was at Lexington at the stadium, lost his connection for those coming in now. Who do you guys like? Jack Burton says Oklahoma and A&M. Oklahoma at South Carolina is very interesting. South Carolina can rush the passer. Dylan Stewart is as good an edge as there is in college football, maybe the best. Sorry, Colin Simmons. We'll see how y'all battle out. To this point, Dylan Stewart's had the slight better season. I'm interested to see how Oklahoma's offensive line holds up at South Carolina in this game and where John Mateer's health's at. Now, the flip side, South Carolina's offensive line, maybe the 2 worst offensive lines in pass pro in the SEC in this game, Oklahoma and South Carolina. And South Carolina has offensive line injuries. That's not a good place to be going into a game against Oklahoma. But that's interesting. A&M at Arkansas. This game will test A&M, I think, in this way. A&M's much improved on offense in terms of explosivity, right? Arkansas is going to score points, I think, in this game. Arkansas is terrible on defense. So could this get into a shootout? This is a game. Could A&M get into a shootout and win on the road this year? If they win this game, A&M's probably going to the playoffs because then all they got to do is split LSU and Missouri on the road the following 2 weeks. And after that, you get South Carolina and Samford at home. Then you have Texas and Austin. So if they win this Arkansas game and just split the road games, A&M's going to be 10-1 going to Texas, and they're in the playoffs. So a huge game for A&M. I like Georgia over Ole Miss. I think Georgia's physicality is going to win that game, and Kirby's already got 1 loss. Probably should have had another or 2 this season. They're going to be ready for Ole Miss. Tennessee at Bama. Tennessee is so good on offense. That's going to be interesting. Missouri at Auburn. Auburn's going to beat somebody, right? They've played so many close games. Is this their game? If you're Missouri, you were hoping they beat Georgia last week. But this is also a game that, again, remember, Eli Drinkwitz has real interest in Auburn if that job opens up. So this is Sean Miller interview this week. We'll see.
Lots of low lines. I mean, Texas is the biggest line out of all those games. And then, of course, Florida, the second biggest. But the rest of them, 7.5 points or less. So,
yeah,
close ones.
Yeah. And that Missouri is essentially a pick 'em.
Yeah.
And Roll Left says the SEC owes Auburn to win. I do agree. Camp Mabry Weatherman says he's staying opposite. Don't think there will be many upsets this weekend. I think LSU Vanderbilt's an interesting game too, because LSU, Garrett Nussmeier did not play well at Ole Miss. I mean, he was missing some throws in that game. He's going to have to play better against Vanderbilt. That could be Vanderbilt's going to try to turn that into a low possession game, slow down LSU's pass rush. Garrett Nussmeier is going to have to play better against Vanderbilt than he did Ole Miss.
Yeah. We got one more super chat this morning, Jerry Hamilton, before we call it a day from Parth Brooks. We keep talking about teams winning low possession games versus Texas. Why? Our defense is elite and our offense, though improving, is not high-flying electric.
Yeah, so for me, if I'm thinking about playing the Texas offense, I want to get games into the fourth quarter. They're the favorite, and put as much pressure on Sark and Arch as possible. And see if I can get this thing to where a field goal or the last possession decides the game. I think when you're a team that's less talented than an opponent, which most are against Texas, that you want to play a lower possession game unless you just have a super explosive offense. If you're Tennessee, you're not probably going to play a low possession game. But if you're a Kentucky, if you're a Mississippi State, I mean, you are outgunned, outmatched talent-wise. So traditionally you play a lower possession game and try to control the game through the run and then try to put pressure on Texas in the fourth quarter, see if you can get it to a fourth quarter game, a score game, a field goal game, or a special teams play could even matter, a block punt, a return. But if that's it, if I'm playing a Georgia, if I'm playing a Texas, I'm going to try to lower the possessions and try to put as much pressure on those guys as I can, especially on the road late in games.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football. Jerry, we'll let you go enjoy that beautiful beach behind you.
I got work to do. We got another video to cut.
Want to say a big thank you to BKCW, along with Prize Picks, Ridge, Hay City, SeatGeek, and of course Von Lane, all for sponsoring today's show. And we got the high school show coming up here in just a little bit. Jerry, what else we got going on throughout the weekend?
We got the afternoon live stream. Bobby will be, I think, he's going to be on location there in Lexington. I think that'll be myself and Bobby and Rod this afternoon from 3 to 4. We got the high school coaches show. And for those that haven't seen that Hayward Howard Jr. video, go watch that on Texas Football. Then we have the lineup for tomorrow, Blake. We have the lineup all day tomorrow. Saturday Convo at 8 a.m., Texas Tailgate at 2. Watch with us at 6. Post game immediately following, sponsored by Yingling Flight. Thanks to Tito's, Hargrove Roofing, Von Lane, and Yingling Flight for being the sponsors of our game day coverage this season. That watch with us should be fun. The road games, Aaron Hogan will be hosting. Myself, Jeff Howell, Rod Babers, Bob Shipley. We're all on there throughout the game. Texas Tailgate will be Jeff Howell, myself, and Bobby Burton and CJ. And CJ and Bobby live in Lexington. And our Saturday combo will be myself, CJ, and Bobby Burton this week.
And don't forget, if you're in Lexington this evening, don't check out the OTF happy hour. Bobby, of course, will be at Blue Stallion Brewing Company. I was looking at the pictures online. Looks like a very cool place. That's today, 4 to 7 p.m. That's at 610 West 3rd Street in Lexington, if you're listening on the podcast. But Bobby will be there 4 to 7 for the OTF happy hour. And
Stone 3 says, Edna Carr's on YouTube tonight. Chance to watch Hayward Howard. If you tune into that game and you think you see the largest human being ever, that's Richard Anderson, committed to LSU. He's 6'3" and change, about 355, can dunk a basketball. As good a defensive tackle prospect as there is in the country. Texas is still trying on him, but very much a long shot there. Just like LSU still trying on Hayward Howard Jr., as they should. in state. But if you tune into that, Ed Nakar has 14 guys committed to Division I, and Richard Anderson is a mammoth human being playing on the defensive line. In Hayward Howard, chance to watch Hayward Howard. He should be playing corner tonight against Jesuit High.
There you go. And one last thing, don't forget to head on over to ontexasfootball.com. We're there around the clock. You can get an annual subscription for $39.95 if you use promo code OTFOG when you sign up. That's for new subscribers only. OTFOG. Get that annual subscription for just $39.95. There's not a better deal out there. So be sure to check us out at ontexasfootball.com. Hope you all have an outstanding weekend. Of course, we'll be back on Monday morning for Coffee and Football. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll